All right, today we're diving into the UN's top human rights watchdog, the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. You've probably heard it called the OHCR. We're going to look at what it actually does, how it works, and, why it's so incredibly important in the world today. So let's start with a big question. We see it in the news every single day, right? Conflict, injustice, it can feel relentless. But in all that chaos, who is officially supposed to be the global voice for the victims? Whose job is it to step in, to investigate, and to speak up when people's rights are being trampled?
Well, it turns out there is an official answer to that question, and it's the OHCR. The easiest way to think about it is as the UN's designated global watchdog for human rights. It's meant to be the world's advocate for human dignity.
So, what does that actually mean? Well, this office is basically the central hub, the main engine for human rights inside the entire UN system. It was specifically created to champion the rights of every single person on this planet. And its whole mission, its entire reason for being, is right there in the name, to promote and to protect. Okay, so let's get a quick snapshot of the organization. It was set up back in 1993, which was a pretty big deal, a real signal that the world needed a central authority on this stuff. It's headquartered in Geneva, and its mandate is huge: to promote and protect all human rights. We're talking civil, political, economic, social, the whole shebang. And right now, it's led by High Commissioner Volker Turk.
So we know what it is, but how does a watchdog like this actually do its job? I mean, it's not just about putting out statements, right? The OHCR has a very specific set of tools, a whole toolkit, really, that it uses to operate both on the ground and on the world stage. It's really a four-part strategy. First, they act as the world's eyes and ears. They investigate and monitor, sending in fact-finding missions to document what's really happening. Then, they educate. They work to make sure governments and citizens actually know what human rights standards are. Third, they advise and assist countries that want to improve their own laws and institutions. And finally, they warn and advocate. They sound the alarm and do their best to keep these critical issues in the global spotlight.
And here's something that I think is super important, but it often flies under the radar. The OHCR is the backbone of the entire UN human rights system. Think of it as the support crew, the operational arm for big players like the Human Rights Council and for the special rapporteurs. Those are the independent experts who investigate specific crises. Honestly, without the OHCR's support, a lot of this vital work would just grind to a halt. But okay, let's be real for a second. Having a mission is one thing, but making a real-world impact is something else entirely. No organization is perfect, and this one operates under some pretty intense political pressure. So let's take a look at let's call it a realistic report card for the OHCHR, looking at both its successes and its very real limitations. And this really gets to the heart of the whole thing. On the one hand, the OHCR has this immense moral authority. Its investigations can be truly groundbreaking, and it absolutely helps countries strengthen their own laws. But on the flip side, the hurdles are massive. You've got intense political pressure from powerful states, a complete lack of enforcement power, and that's key. It can't force anyone to do anything. Plus, it's got limited funding, and all too often, governments just deny it access to the very places it needs to investigate. And when we talk about its impact, these examples say it all. The reports that have come out of the OHCHR on crises in places like Syria, the persecution of the Rohingya in Myanmar, and more recently in Ukraine and Gaza, these are absolutely vital. They create an official, factual record of atrocities. They provide evidence that can later be used in international courts. And they make sure that these events can't just be denied or swept under the rug. All right, so that brings us to today. What is this watchdog focused on right now? The world doesn't stand still, and the threats to our rights are constantly evolving. So let's look at what the OHCR has on its priority list for 2025. But first, to really get a sense of their priorities, you have to understand their scale. The OHCR-HR has an official presence, we're talking people on the ground, in over 90 countries. That is a massive global footprint, working directly in many of the places where human rights are most at risk. So where is all that energy focused? Well, as you can see, the biggest slice of the pie, about 30%, goes to protecting people in conflict zones. No surprise there. But what's really interesting is the rest of the chart. Racial justice and migrant rights are huge priorities. And look at the new challenges popping up: digital rights in the age of AI, and the human rights impact of climate change. This really shows an organization trying to adapt to the 21st century.
So when you put it all together, what's the big takeaway? Why, with all its very real limitations, is the OHCR still so essential? Well, it really comes down to its unique role as a steady, unwavering voice. I think this quote just nails it. In a system like the UN, which is often dominated by the political interests of states, the OHCR's primary client is supposed to be humanity itself. It's designed to be the conscious, the advocate, the central voice that consistently and officially defends the very idea of human dignity for every person. And that leaves us right here with the ultimate question. We've seen that the OHCHR is a vital watchdog. It can investigate, it can report, it can expose, and it can wield a powerful moral voice on the world stage. But it has no army, no police force, no real power to force change. And in a world so often defined by hard power, is the soft power of a moral voice, is that truly enough to protect human rights? That's the challenge it wakes up to every single day.